What's up, guys? Cole Callison here, and today I had to get out of the home office. So I just came out to the beautiful waterfront area in Wichita, Kansas. So I'm a broker here, a real estate broker, and today I just want to talk to you about how I got started and what I did to get to where I was making $15,000 a month in only 2 months. So 2 months in, and I was making $15,000 a month. And I want to do that for you guys because I want it to be an inspiration, but I can promise you this, at the same time, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. That's just not how I am. And you're going to get the complete raw version of what I did, what I wish I would have done differently, and what I think you should do if you want to repeat the same results that I did. So I've been in real estate now for 7 years, and I've been a real estate broker for the last, well, since 2017, so the last 3 years of that. I got my broker's license, and I live in Wichita, Kansas. I know a lot of people think it's the flyover state, but it's a good place to live. It's a good place to raise a family and everything like that. So before we get started though, if you would do me a huge favor and like this video and subscribe to the channel, and also ring that bell notification so that you're notified of all the new videos that I come out with. I'm planning on doing 3 of these a week, all about different topics or whatever you guys would like to see. I would love to do that. I'd like to keep it around business, finances, investing, real estate. That's kind of my niche. That's kind of where I like to be. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into it. So for those of you that don't know me, I started in real estate back in 2006 as an investor. I bought and sold a whole lot of property, had over $10 million worth of property. I did a video about it. I'll link it in the description below. And basically I lost everything and went bankrupt. And I learned a huge lesson from that. So I was kind of burned with real estate for a little bit. I knew it wasn't real estate's fault. It was more my fault actually. But you know, it took me a while to get back in the game. And it wasn't until 2013 where my wife, after about a year of trying to convince me, she told me, hey, you need to get into real estate sales. You love it. You need to do it. So after being reluctant and after getting fired from a job, I finally gave in and I went and got my real estate license. So the problem was, the reason I was so reluctant is, you know, we just moved to Wichita and I didn't know anybody. I didn't know who to call. I didn't know what to say. And so with that, I didn't know how to get business. I'd never been in sales before. I was in the military before that. I was in law enforcement after the military, and that's it. So I didn't know what to do. So I joined a team, and I had an agreement with the team leader that they would be advertising and I would be working their leads, their buyer leads. I was a buyer's agent, and I would pay them a 50-50 split. But at the same time, I had to make a living, because in real estate sales, you don't start earning right away. It's completely commission based, and if you don't sell any homes, you don't get paid. And so I needed to be able to put food on the table for my family. I had a wife and a young daughter at the time. She was just born, and I was scared, honestly. So I went out and I took a night security job in probably the worst part of Wichita, and they were doing a whole lot of renovations of about 150 fourplexes. And honestly, about 130 of those fourplexes were completely abandoned, gutted out and everything. So we had a lot of squatters and a lot of crime in that area. And I was out there by myself working 5 nights a week from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. trying to protect those properties. So I committed every day, almost 7 days a week, to learning scripts, to role playing with my team leader and other agents in the office. I would job shadow. And it was those things that I committed to each and every day. I'm telling you, 7 days a week. I would go into the office every morning at 7:30. I would be the first one there. I would practice and everything that I needed to do throughout the day, and I would be the last one to leave. And it's typically I'd leave around 6:30 to 7 o'clock. My wife would be wonderful and have food ready for me to have a quick bite to eat. I'd change my clothes and I was off to my night job. So I did that for 3 months straight, 5 days a week, and I got sick 3 times. And I'm one of those guys that I don't get sick. I haven't been sick since that time, and that was 7 years ago. So I don't recommend that to anybody, but what I'm telling you is, if you have a desire to make this work, I'm telling you, you can make this work. and you can make a very good income looking at real estate sales if you're willing to put in the time and effort. So after that month of continually training and really scripting and role playing with my team leader and everything, I kept begging him for leads. I told him, hey, I'm gonna starve to death living off my night security job if I don't get paid. So I need to start working leads. Well, he didn't think I was ready. And fortunately, he went off to New York on a 3-day business trip on a training session. And you know, the next day after he left, again, I was the first one into the office and the phone rang. Nobody was there. So I answered it. I followed the exact script that I was taught, and a buyer wanted to come see one of our listed properties. It was a brand new listing that we had. We just put it on the market. So I told him I had nothing else better to do. I didn't tell him that, but I told him I will meet you over at the house. I'll show it to you. Now, looking back, that's probably the dumbest thing I probably could have done. I didn't know if he was pre-qualified or anything like that, but I was desperate. I needed it. And it was only a $50,000 house, guys. And our average house price in the Wichita area is about $170,000. But I didn't care, you know, and then even after splitting with the team leader, it would be like selling a $25,000 house. It was ridiculous. But I went and I put that house under contract that same day. Well, that was one house down in the very first day that my team leader was gone. The very next day, it was like deja vu. I walk into the office and the phone rang again about 15 minutes after I got there. And it was another property that we had a sign out in the yard. It was a coming soon, and we haven't really marketed it yet. So I had to get some information on it for the lady that was calling on it. And I went down and I showed her the house, and she wanted to put in an offer the same day as well. I've never had this happen since then. So it was God's way of saying, hey, you put in the work, I'm gonna bless you right now. And so I sold that house as well. Well, long story short, my team leader comes back the next day. I tell him, hey, I'm ready. I need to start working these leads. We argue back and forth a little bit, and then I proved to him, hey, if I'm not ready, why did I just sell 2 homes in the last 2 days? So he found that out, and he started giving me a majority of the leads. A month later, I had 8 homes under contract, and I was making a little over $11,000. And then the following month, my second month of working real estate leads, I had 9 homes under contract at the time, and I brought in over $15,000 in commissions on my end alone after splitting with the team leader. So in 2014, I decided I'd go out on my own, and business was rough. I didn't understand how to get business. I didn't understand how to get leads or anything like the team was providing for me, and I had to really grind. And that's one of the things I want to tell you guys. If you want this, you have to grind, and you have to be willing to put in the work. So what I decided I was going to work expired listings, so homes that didn't sell with their previous agent, and I would try to sell them. So I didn't have a way to contact them by a subscription-based service that would put the leads in a database for me and give me their numbers. So I did it the old-fashioned way. I looked up the old listing, and I scrubbed it against any active listings to make sure that it wasn't relisted with another agent. And then from there, I looked them up on the tax records. And then from there, I went to whitepages.com. And if you don't know anything about whitepages.com, it's about a 50-50 chance that they might have a landline, not a cell phone, a landline. And so about half of them, I got numbers to, and I would call them, and I would have some tough conversations, guys. I got cussed at on a regular basis, almost daily, but I was willing to keep putting in the effort. And on the ones that I didn't make contact with because I didn't have a phone number with, I drove to their house to make contact with them. So be willing to go the extra mile. Do the things that other agents aren't willing to do, especially when you're new and trying to build a clientele. So after doing that, I was able to bring in enough money to start paying for services. And then I had a 3-line dialer, and I had services that would automatically put the contacts into that dialer, and every morning I'd rock and roll. And in 2015, I was actively prospecting 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and I got up to 25 active listings as a single agent. I also had 8 other homes under contract, and I was rocking and rolling. But I tell you what, the problem was I was so transactional. You see, with the team that I started with, I was never taught how to build relationships with people. And that's so key. You see, what you need to do is you need to build relationships so that you get referrals. And I was so transactional So by the end of 2016, I was burnt out, guys. I about quit, and I took a couple months off. Well, it wasn't but for another agent in the office, and she brought me into Brian Buffini and the Referral Maker program. Now, the Referral Maker program takes the complete opposite approach of what I was doing. I was so used to being transactional and going and chasing new business of people that I didn't know, instead of using my database and building the relationships and getting referrals for people to come to me. One of the cool things that I found was a guy by the name of Joshua Smith, and if you haven't seen him, you need to check out his YouTube channel, and especially his program called the Mega Open House System. You see, I took his system and I worked it almost to the T, except for he goes a lot further out when it comes to how many signs that he puts out. I bought 50 directional signs, and I took his program, I bought the flags, everything, and I worked it, and I built my business in 2017 between Referral Maker, only working with my database, and doing open houses his way without ever making a cold call from that point on. I increased my business by 87% from 2016 to 2017. So that's about it, guys. I rarely do any non-solicited prospecting anymore. I just have built a clientele of people that continue to refer me, and then with the open houses that I do on occasion for my clients, it continues to bring in more and more people. So looking at the numbers just the other day, I see that 90%, it's actually 90.7, but 90% of my business now is referral based. And that's an amazing place to get, but it took me almost 7 years to get there, guys. So if you're willing to put in the prospecting up front and really bust it and learn your scripts, learn how to be better at what you do, you're going to succeed at this. And there hasn't been a single year, except for 2019, but there hasn't been a single year where I've made less than $100,000. Now, the only reason 2019 was different is because I really busted it in 2018 because I knew that my daughter was about to be born. And I got to spend 9 months out of 2019 with my daughter, my newborn daughter, at home. That was the most amazing thing that I've ever been able to do, and it's all thanks to real estate. And on top of that, I started volunteering at our local church, and we got a mega church that we go to. It's 7,000 people. And I started volunteering. I got on with the production team, and they've taught me a lot with video, and it's amazing. I built some great friendships and relationships there. A majority of the business that I'm getting this year for 2020 is coming from the church now. So the possibilities are endless, guys. You got to be willing to put in the work up front. So that was basically my journey. And I tell you what, a book that I read that really helped me, because when you feel like you don't know what to say, you're hesitant to even get out there in front of people. Well, a book called Go for No was written, and it showed me that it doesn't really matter what you say. It just matters how many conversations you have with people about real estate or whatever other product that you're trying to sell. And if you have enough of those consistently, then you're bound to get better at your pitch. You're bound to get better at handling objections, because I can tell you my very first listing was a disaster. It was just flat out horrible. And I learned a lot from that, and I learned from each and every listing that I've went on, every buyer appointment that I've been on, and every transaction that I've worked through. So I'll just leave you with this. Work on building your relationships. That's the best thing you can do. If you're wanting to get into real estate but you don't know who to call, you don't know a lot of people in your area, consider joining a team just like I did. Be willing to take less of a split because they're providing the leads. But I will tell you, 50% of everything is a whole lot more than 0% of anything that you do on your own if you're not getting any business. So keep that in mind. A lot of people think that they're losing money or leaving money on the table because they're joining a team, when in actuality they would have sold a whole lot more real estate and came out a lot more ahead had they joined the team, even with the higher splits. Get started, don't give up, and just keep grinding, guys. That's seriously, I know it's not sexy, but that is seriously the key to how I've been able to go from zero to where I am now, selling over 300 homes in the last 7 years and making over 6 figures every single year, except for when I took that time off. So if you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll be coming out with different videos at least 3 times a week, maybe even more. But you want to be notified when a new video comes out, so go ahead and hit the bell icon. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later.